BandZoogle is made for musicians by musicians, and their BandZoogle is used by over 500,000 artists to power their websites and manage direct-to-fan marketing and sales. And so he's going to share some of the information that you guys can find out and how you might be able to use BandZoogle in your business. Dave has spoken at dozens of music conferences, including SXSW, Canadian Music Week, the ASCAP Expo, and many more. He's also a recovering punk rock drummer, comedy nerd, wine snob, and vintage hockey card collector. So I can't wait to get him to join us. So let's just not wait any longer and have him join us now. Hey, Dave, welcome. I'm so excited that you finally made it with us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for your patience in booking this. I appreciate it. Great to be here.
No problem. I hope your family is safe and sound.
We're all good. Yeah, we're up in Montreal, Canada, which was actually the epicenter in Canada for a while, our city, because we're a lot smaller than New York, but it's a similar type of city where everyone lives on top of each other. So it was pretty bad at the beginning, and it's gotten better, but we're all good. Thanks for asking. I hope everyone's good down your parts in Florida. So
far, so good. I mean, the numbers here in Florida have been getting crazy, but I knew that was going to happen because I was watching everybody not doing the right thing. So it's like, okay, well, what do we expect? We have so much to cover today. So is it okay if we just jump right in?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. I see that you're a recovering punk rock drummer. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I have to hear more about that.
Yeah, so in a past life, as I like to call it, I was a drummer. I grew up in a very musical family, so when I was, every Saturday since before I was born, so going back 40 years now, my dad has had a jam in the family house basement. So every Saturday there's a blues jam, and there's actually a couple of plaques on the walls in the family home of all the musicians that have passed through over the years. It's like hundreds and hundreds of musicians. But when I was 5, their drummer quit, and he just trained me like a monkey to like keep a beat. And so I became their drummer. And then I went from there, when it wasn't, cool anymore to play with your parents' band, I went on and played in a bunch of punk rock bands up here in Montreal. And, I had some minimal glory in those bands, like doing little tours and signing to very small local labels and sleeping in vans and in parking lots and all that fun stuff. But I never wore earplugs back then, and I did a real number on my ears. And so my right ear, I tell people, is just there for symmetry. It actually doesn't do very much anymore. It doesn't I lost a bunch of hearing. I have severe tinnitus, the ringing in your ears. So I decided to shift to the industry side when I was in my early mid-20s, I guess. And so yeah, I'm still recovering from those years.
Wow. I mean, well, that's heavy, it's heavy music. And back then, those big amps that they're like, right in your ears. And I know, because when I play, I try to keep my ears protected and things like that. And when I go to concerts to shoot, I always wear plugs. And, my friends used to laugh at me, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to have damage to my ears, because
wear your earplugs, everyone.
That's it. Wear those earplugs. That's for sure. Actually, this question, do you still play at all?
No, I haven't played music in probably 15 years now. I really kind of left it behind and dove straight into, I started my own record label, and from there found myself doing a whole bunch of different and interesting projects in the music industry, and wound up with me working at BandZoogle now for going on 10 years, and been there for 9 years. So it all kind of brought me to where I am today, and I'm extremely fortunate and happy to be where I am. So no regrets. It's not something I think about ever. It was fun back then, but I really kind of just turned a switch and, focused on trying to help musicians, really was the main goal. Yeah.
I love that. But before I get into that, I just have another quick question, because I see that you're a vintage hockey card collector. Do you play hockey?
I mean, being in Canada, Montreal especially, hockey is kind of a religion up here. And so I grew up playing hockey, and rediscovered my passion for collecting hockey cards a few years ago. The whole nostalgia thing is huge, right? With vintage toys and cards and collectibles and things like that. So I must be hitting middle age, because I'm starting to, want to collect cards again like I did when I was a kid. So yeah, it's definitely a passion and a hobby that, gets my mind off things for brief moments throughout the week.
I hear you. Life is very stressful these days, that's for sure. That's to say the least. I used to work with the NHL, and I always wanted to learn how to play. You know, my brother used to play roller hockey and some ice hockey, and I'd say, you know, Al, teach me how to play. And he's like, oh, girls don't play hockey. But then, you know, in 98, when the female team won in the USA, and I was like,
exactly.
You can eat those words now, right?
And there's actually been a female NHL goalie, Manon Rayom.
Really?
She's from up here in Canada. Yeah. So briefly, but it was really a big deal. And women's hockey is huge in Canada as well. It's always Canada versus the US in the finals of those things because the two countries are a little bit more ahead. It's always great games. Yeah.
And I love Montreal. I haven't been up there since about 87, I think. But it was just spectacular. It was such a beautiful country. And I remember, what is it? Mount Tremblant?
Yeah. Yeah, Mont Tremblant, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I went on a seaplane ride over there. It was just amazing. The landing was freaky as all hell because I see these massive pine trees and I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to crash.
That's a little nerve-wracking. Yeah, Mont Tremblant is beautiful. It's, you know, I always tell people if they want to come visit Montreal, they absolutely should and need to, but between the months of like June and August. And then after, like, if you're not a fan of winter, just avoid it for about 8 months of the year because people don't believe you, but a lot of BandZoogle members are in the US and I'm friends with a bunch of them and I'll text them screenshots of my weather app and be like, hey, it's, you know, minus 32 degrees Celsius today. And then a few months later in summer, it'll be almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We go from one extreme all the way to the other. So it's summers in Montreal are a big deal. There's usually tons of festivals happening because people want to get outside. But obviously with the pandemic, I mean, everything is canceled. So there's no music festivals, no film festivals.
It's so sad. I know.
Very strange summer in the city right now.
Most of the restaurants open and things like that right now as well?
Yeah, just started recently. Everything's starting to reopen with limited capacity and things like that. And distancing, but it's strange. It's very strange. And numbers are going up, of course, because things are reopening. So they're, you know, I think it's going to be an interesting few months of shutting things down, getting under control, opening back up. And for club owners, I mean, I know people that own small venues up here, music venues, and they're the first to that's the thing, is they're the first to close and they're going to be the last to be able to reopen the small venues because they can't social distance in a capacity 80 club. Like you can't, it's not economically viable to do it anyways. So it's pretty sad. We already lost a couple of important music venues in Montreal in the last month, and there will probably be more, unfortunately. So it's very strange times for the live music industry for sure.
Really sad to hear that because you know, I mean, I'm hoping that things can kind of get back to normal and stop calling it the new normal because I just don't like that phrase. It's just like, no, sorry, you know, it's just going to go back, you know. It may be different, but there's no new normal, okay? So, how did you end up working with BandZoogle?
It was, I started my label. I wanted to put out a compilation CD back when there were CDs and, you know, they're a popular format, especially those CD-ROMs. I don't know if you remember this, when you could put some video files at the end, like as a bonus on the CD. So I wanted to put out a compilation of my favorite solo artists, and I wanted to record little snippets of interviews with them to include as a CD-ROM bonus. And so I hired a childhood friend of mine who was a professional camera person to come interview these artists. And long story short, it ended up being a feature documentary film with a bonus compilation CD that came with it. We interviewed 20 artists. We interviewed the founders of CD Baby and Sonic Bids back then, just to talk about the experience of being an independent musician. This is 2005. So this was just before MySpace hit. So the social media thing wasn't even a thing. But it was interesting because the experience of independent musicians was very common across genres. And so that came out, and the founder of Sonic Bids at the time, Panos Panay, was super supportive, and he made it mandatory viewing for all new staff at the company. And BandZoogle hired a CEO a few years after that, and he became friendly with the Sonic Bids people, and was saying like, hey, I'm gonna, I should write this blog post about music conferences and giving advice. And they're like, hey, there's a guy named Dave Cool in your hometown that did this great movie and also blogs and puts out free ebooks for musicians. You should probably meet with him. And then I met with their CEO at the time. This was probably 10 years ago. And yeah, the rest is history. I've been there ever since, and it came through kind of this weird. I've always known BandZoogle. I should point out, I've been working there for almost 10 years. But for my record label and for that movie, I used BandZoogle to power the websites because it was a Montreal-based company, and I knew the founder, Chris. I knew his band. They were the big rock band in Montreal's scene when I was coming up, and so I knew the band. And then when they broke up. Kind of a funny origin story of BandZoogle. He was hired by the major label he was on to design. He was a web designer, so he was hired to design all the websites of all the bands on the label. And that quickly became overwhelming because everyone's like, can you add this date to our tour? Can you add this photo? Can you change your bio? Can you do this and that? And he built a control panel with a login for all the bands and managers and said, do it yourself. I'm too busy. And everyone stopped bugging him. And so BandZoogle was born, basically. He thought, oh, this could be useful. So this is 18 years ago. Yeah. So he thought that could be useful for other musicians. And I mean, 18 years later, we're powering over 50,000 websites for musicians around the world. So it's kind of a funny accident that it all happened. And I knew BandZoogle when they started. I started using them. When I joined the company, I logged into our admin to see my accounts, and they were from early 2004, and the company launched in late 2003. So I was an original user. So I've always loved the product, the platform, and what they do for musicians. So it's been fun to be part of the company.
That's amazing. What is the name of your label? Do you still have the label? Or?
Oh, no. It lasted 2 releases. I released one album for a singer-songwriter up here in Quebec, then let him out of his contract, and he signed to other bigger labels and released the movie, and then that was it.
Wow. Okay.
I did programming at a couple of venues in Montreal for a couple of years, and then I worked for BandZoogle ever since. So I kind of jumped around the industry, which was great because I learned different aspects of the industry, and it's definitely helped inform some of the. We really focus a lot on educating musicians, so it helped form a lot of those experiences. Definitely helped with a lot of that education for artists, because knowing what it's like on both sides, trying to book and then being booked and things like that. So, but no more label. That's a very tough job, and there's some great people doing it, but I was just not one of them.
I hear you. It's good that you do jump around, and I always say that to people, like, take the jobs, even if you're doing stuff for free, because you learn so much, and you can always implement it into your own business somehow, some way. And it could be just that little tiny snippet of something, but it could be instrumental and really into like kicking something into who knows where. So tell us a little bit more. So BandZoogle is a website development. Like, you can make your websites. Like, what's the difference of using BandZoogle versus a WordPress or a Wix website or something?
Sure. Yeah. So BandZoogle is an all-in-one website platform, but it's specifically for musicians. And the company's actually been around for as long as, or even a little bit before, some of those bigger names like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace. They all kind of started around the same time, not aware of each other. And so BandZoogle's always been around. It's been around for 18 years. And so the company's slogan for many years was, "It's so easy your drummer could do it," which I love. So it's basically an easy, simple website platform for musicians where you can build your own professional website. So all the design templates are there. Our lead designer and our design team takes great care so that all the design templates are great out of the box. You can just apply it to your site and you're good to go. All the colors and fonts are all matched, paired well, but you can go in and just with point and click, customize every element, font, color on your site to really brand it how you want. You get everything included. So domain name included, hosting's included, 7-day-a-week support is included. Plus, we have a bunch of direct fan tools. So you can sell music, merch, tickets, including live stream tickets. You can take donations. You can run crowdfunding campaigns. You can do monthly fan donations, like a fan subscription. And it's all commission free. BandZoogle's never, ever taken a cut of sales. We're just about at $65 million in commission free sales for the platform from BandZoogle members. It's incredible to see. and built-in mailing list tool as well, blog, photo galleries, and we have integrations with a whole bunch of different social media platforms and other music platforms as well, just to make things a little easier for our members to incorporate those tools. So it's really an all-inclusive platform to build a website and sell your music and merch directly to your fans, because that way you're making more money because BandZoogle doesn't take a cut, and you're owning that relationship and that data. So you get the email addresses and you're able to keep in touch with those fans over the long term, which is super important to be able to do.
Wow, that's stupendous. I mean, I didn't realize that they would be commission free on the sales end, because most places, they always want a cut of something, you know?
Yeah. So I should point out that BandZoogle is not free to use. So it's a different thing. So you pay a monthly subscription to BandZoogle, and it ranges from $10, $15, or $20 a month. And that's it. There's no extra fees to change designs. You can change your design in 2 clicks. You can contact support 7 days a week. There's no extra, of course, there's no extra charge for that. So, members that pay the subscription have access to all the design plus all the e-commerce stuff. So we never want to touch the artist's money. So it's really, you're basically paying for the hosting, the support, and then access to the tools. But you own your domain name, you own your content, you own your mailing list. If someone leaves BandZoogle for whatever reason, they take their domain, they take their content, they take their mailing list. We're just powering the back end, making it look great. Yeah. We're there to help you when you need it, but we want you to be front and center and own the relationship between yourself and your fans.
And that's really unheard of, because, most places, if you go somewhere, they want to have ownership of everything. It's like you give up so much sometimes. And I really love that you guys are doing this for artists this way, because it's really unheard of. So that's amazing. And those prices are really good, because I know for my hosting, I always have to pay this, that, and the other thing, and for my podcast, this, that. So before I know it, I'm spending, whatever per month, and I'm thinking it's a lot of money. It adds up very quickly.
It does. And they always try to upsell you on different packages that you may or may not need. It gets really confusing. I mean, I think it's just always been that way. I think BandZoogle raised their prices once, and I think it was very, very early on in the company's history. And then the only other change to the pricing was to add the light plan, which was the $10 a month plan, which was, I think, over 12 years ago. But the prices have remained the same, and we've just been adding and adding and adding to the platform based on feedback. Which, what I love about the company is that every request that comes in from a member, whether it's through our live chat or an email ticket to support, whether it's to me directly or to our team at music conferences, every suggestion gets logged in a database, and our CEO, Stacy, and the developers look at those suggestions and build out the tools that our members are requesting. So 18 years of that, of musicians telling BandZoogle what they want for their websites, you end up with a pretty robust platform that specifically fits the needs of musicians and bands, which is pretty cool.
Really, that's amazing. I'm so excited about it. And I know that you've gone way above and beyond, and you've actually prepared something special for our participants today. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So if you use the promo code Tampa Jam, all one word, Tampa Jam, when you sign up for a free trial, there's a little checkbox, and you can enter a promo code. So just enter the promo code Tampa Jam, all one word. And so it's free to try. You get 30 days free to try BandZoogle. And if you build a site that you like and you want to stick around and register a domain name, you can upgrade to any of the 3 plans, and you'll get a 15% discount off the first year of any of the BandZoogle plans with that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, you guys watching, I'm telling you, this is the place to go to get your beautiful website, and having 50% off for a year. I mean, it's a no-brainer, guys. So don't wait, and take advantage of that while you can. How can people stay in touch with you to just kind of just see what you're up to? And are you on social media that can stay in touch?
Probably the best for me personally, and this is going to be the lamest answer you'll ever get to this question, but for me personally, LinkedIn is actually the place where I post most business stuff, music industry stuff. You can follow me on Instagram, but it's 99% pictures of my dog. I don't use it for anything to do with the music industry. But people can definitely follow the BandZoogle blog. We post it's kind of my baby at BandZoogle. I was originally hired to contribute to the BandZoogle blog, and I've been overseeing it and curating it now for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And we put out new content 2 to 4 times a week, with just, advice for musicians on all aspects. It's not just website tips. There's a lot of that, of course, being a website platform. We have specific categories with website tips for musicians, but everything from crowdfunding to selling music to marketing your music to creating lyric videos, I think is one that came out today.
Oh, wow.
Anything and everything that musicians have to think about, in their careers to market and sell their music. So we're constantly putting up new content there, and I'm really proud of the work that our team does. And when the pandemic hit, I mean, we had several months of blog posts and things prepared and ready to go, and we had to throw it all out and start over because it wasn't relevant. So if you go to the blog, you'll see on the right side of the page, there's a COVID-19 resources section. If you click on that, there's a bunch of free webinars. They can watch the replays. There's tons of guides and content related to navigating your music career during a pandemic. And so there's a ton of resources there that I'm super proud of. And, we were kind of hoping, I don't know if you remember, like initially it was like, oh, we'll just, we're going to close things down for a couple of weeks and then see where it's at. And here we are.
And months later, it's like, okay, this is not going away anytime soon, isn't it?
Exactly. So we're going to continue adding to that, because things aren't quite back to where they were pre-pandemic, obviously. Things are opening up a little bit, but there's still, a lot of musicians hurting out there that have lost that live touring revenue. So we're going to keep putting out those resources on the blog. So I'd say that's the best. You don't follow me. I'm pretty boring, but the blog is a great resource for musicians. I'm really proud of the work that we do there.
I'll make sure I link everything up there. Well, thank you again, Dave. I really appreciate everything that you've done for this summit and for me and for everybody who's been out there watching it, because I know I've learned a lot. You do give so much amazing, valuable information. It's so diversified. And the webinars have been, of course, some amazing people that you guys interviewed, and it's just a plethora of information. So if you guys are really looking to get some invaluable information that's free and it's at your fingertips, please definitely go check out BandZoogle. And Dave, I hope that you and your family stay safe and sound, and I hope to see you if you ever get over to the Tampa area when things return to normal, or if I'm out in Montreal, I would love to catch up and
Absolutely.
grab a bite or something.
When this is all done, we'll definitely meet up at some point somewhere.
That's great. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate everything.
Cheers. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
See you on the next summit session. And remember, if you want some live interviews from musicians and artists, don't forget to go to www.lildrummergirl.com and check them out. All right, I'll see you on the next segment.